Welcome back to the channel. I'm Daniel. I am a fitness enthusiast, former gymnast, currently relearning super slow hit training and time static contraction and all that stuff. For the purposes of this episode, I'm pretty coordinated, having been a gymnast and all. This episode is going to be about neurological efficiency, neuromuscular efficiency, and neural efficiency. These are different, but they are related. And let's get into it. First of all, what do these have to do with exercise? I think most people in the exercise field have heard of these, but have different understandings of them. For the purposes of strength training, neuromuscular efficiency is the hookup between your brain and muscle, the fibers of your muscle, rate coding of which fibers fire first, which fibers fire later, all that kind of stuff. Neural efficiency is how quick your thoughts or cognitions or intelligence or even the the underlying the instinctive reactions, how quick they are, how efficient those nerves travel. With neural efficiency, someone who is more intelligent uses less energy to think. They have less energy for less electricity, less neural activity to accomplish a similar task, to accomplish a calculation, to accomplish language learning, to accomplish a math thing. They use actually less neurons to do that. Their neurological system is more efficient. Someone who has a high degree of neuromuscular efficiency can contract fewer fibers to accomplish as the same amount of force as someone else. They don't need as much size or muscle to produce the same amount of force. That's very, very basic, but you kind of get the idea. So, one of the parts of HIT philosophy, the six factors of functional ability, two of them, bodily proportions and neuromuscular efficiency, are thought to be not changeable. I disagree with one of those. Two of them, technically, if you do surgery, but neuromuscular efficiency, I disagree, is not changeable. For one word, inhibition. I think what most HIT people think when they're talking about neuromuscular efficiency, when they think they're talking about neuromuscular efficiency, they're actually talking about neuromuscular inhibition. They usually talk about poor motor control, poor coordination, difficulty moving, especially with strength training. We are talking about inhibition. It rarely actually has to do with rate coding, with firing, with neuromuscular efficiency, because it never actually gets to that point. I know some people are going to not buy that. They think that once you initiate a contraction, all the fibers go. Maybe, probably, but it still had nothing to do with this. If there is an inhibitory response, all the fibers are not going to go. Whether that inhibition is caused from injury, from disease, or from cognition, or from exposure. This is an important point. Repeated exposure can cause an inhibitory response. Let me read this real quick. This is from one of the definitions. Neuromuscular efficiency is related to muscle fiber activation and production of force by a given muscle. Thus, individuals who are capable of producing greater muscle force with lower magnitude of muscle fiber activation are considered to be more efficient. I, as a gymnast, probably had a higher level of neuromuscular efficiency than the average person. It enabled me to be stronger with less mass, with less size. I was able to produce more force to complete a skill. I think that is true of most gymnasts. So let's talk about neural efficiency. Neural efficiency hypothesis describes the phenomenon that brighter individuals show lower brain activation than less bright individuals when working on the same cognitive task. So, can neural efficiency be improved? We already know that's yes. We already know that is yes. Neural efficiency can and is frequently improved. You can see it. Just Google Scholar, go on there, do neural efficiency and play with it. Now with neuromuscular efficiency and neuromuscular inhibition, if you do a Google Scholar search on neuromuscular inhibition, you're going to come up and see something called integrated neuromuscular inhibition. That's something completely different. That is some sort of technique. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking. It may, but it doesn't really have much to do with what I'm talking about. Okay. With neural efficiency, one of the things that we saw, a 12-week physical and cognitive exercise program can improve efficiency of brain activation during cognitive tasks in older adults, which is associated with improvements in memory and executive function. Yeah, this guy with ADHD could have his executive function improved a lot. That is a thing. Okay, so what does this have to do with your exercise program? You may think you have a high degree of neurological efficiency, or you may think you have a low degree, or you may train people that you think have a low degree of neurological efficiency. You may think they have poor motor control. Nope, they do not. They have inhibition. They have motor inhibition. Without an inhibition, most people, short of disease, short of injury, are going to have a fairly similar range of neuromuscular efficiency. It is very small in terms of performance, what is required. So you're going to hear people, and it sounds like they're talking about this huge spectrum, and it's not. It's a small spectrum, very small. What will cause most problems with motor control, poor motor control, is neural inhibition, mostly cognitive inhibition. I'm going to do a future episode on the history of poor motor control. And it does have a history. Most people don't even know that. I'll explain how and what that's about. If neural efficiency can be improved, maybe neuromuscular efficiency can also be improved. We know from that research, that 12-week study, that some of it is if there is a decline. So if neuromuscular efficiency is at a certain point and it comes down, it can be brought back up. That's more of repair. That's not improving, it's more repair. If somebody has for most of their life had a certain range of neurological efficiency, it can be improved with a very specific technique. Has nothing to do with exercise, but it is unlikely to be successful. It takes a lot of training and a massive, and I'm not talking about strength training, I'm talking about other things. It takes a massive amount of repetitive practice to override these problems. I'll get more about that in another episode. Research indicates that it can be improved, but like I said, mostly with either debilitated from injury or from cognition or from disease. With the cognition one is more difficult than the disease or injury one. The injury repair and recovery is a lot easier. The cognition one, way harder. And the cognition one is what I'm going to be talking about when it comes to strength training. And there is an inhibitory response to strength training. Most people don't know or believe that. Don't want to believe it. I get it. I get it. Does strength training improve neuromuscular efficiency? Yeah, maybe. We know that the combination of training and cognitive function can repair neurological efficiency. Can it improve it? Probably. I think it can a little, but that it's going to take other things to do that. It's going to take massive amounts of repetition of simple skills to do a full repair of neurological efficiency. One of the things when Arthur and with MEDX and at first with Nautilus was researching with MEDX not MEDX, the Nautilus leg extension that was developed by Les Organ. There was a name, Dr. Lester Organ, he went by Les. I don't get that. I wouldn't want to be known as Les Organ. Anyway, with that, they developed a superior isokinetic leg extension device and discovered some things, leading to the mechanical parts exploration of the MEDX lumbar machine. From that, they did some research where they would do a static test, put in the recommended amount. I think it was 50% of the static. They put in 50% of dynamic weight. Some people could do a lot of reps, some people could not. And they determined that this was due to neurological efficiency. Some people who are more, I don't know which way it was, I think they felt more efficient, were fatigued quicker, less efficient, I don't know. I'm not sure they actually knew. I think they were just making up what they thought. But I think it is possible that as your neurological efficiency does improve, if you have had inhibition, as it improves, you actually enroad less. Let's go back to the 12-week study. The 12-week physical cognitive exercise program can improve efficiency of brain activation during cognitive task in older adults. So, if the exercise part of that can improve neuromuscular efficiency, and the neuromuscular efficiency causes less fibers to be needed to contract the muscle during exercise, there's going to be less inroad. Maybe? That's something to think about. Here, I'm going to do my Tucker Carlson face. I'm just asking questions. All right, so on this point, I'm going to refer back to a keynote speech by Dr. Doug McGuff. I think it was 98? No, 96 maybe. Anyway, it was here in Orlando, near the, I think it was at the Hilton or something, near Body Coach when Ken was working there. And he was talking about a response. I'm not going to go into the details of this, but people who are familiar with HIIT will know the speech I'm talking about, where he talked about a response to a certain stimuli that developed over repeated exposure. I want you to consider the repeated exposure of an attempt to go to momentary muscle failure. I speculate that a similar response eventually develops over time, that an inhibitory response develops to accommodate repeated exposure to momentary muscle failure, making it feel like you're training hard when you're actually training less and less hard. It feels like you're training hard, but you're actually training less and less harder. This is just a speculation. This is not what I believe. This is not a theory. This is not a hypothesis. I don't know. And my iPad just locked. Let's unlock it. But I think it is very possible. The next episode, we're going to go deeper, deeper into momentary muscle failure. So I hope that episode brings a little bit more clarity on this one. Neuromuscular efficiency is not what HIT people think it is, and I think the opposite happens of what they think happens. That's my point. I hope everyone has a good workout, a good day, and see y'all later.